Well, this Sunday, we're going to be celebrating mothers, how they shaped our lives and helped us become who we are today. Sometimes God uses moms to deliver God winks in our lives, messages of love, sometimes protection, reassurance. And there's living proof in Squire Rushnell's and Louise DuArt's latest book.
Best-selling authors Louise DuArt and Squire Rushnell are well known for their popular Godwink books that have brought laughter and inspiration to many. With more than 1.5 million copies in print, these heartwarming stories have been the basis of several record-breaking Hallmark movies. The beloved series continues with their latest book, God Winks for Moms, which offers hope and encouragement to mothers of all ages and backgrounds.
Well, please welcome back to the 700 Club our dear friends, Squire Rushnell and Louise DuArt. Hello, you two.
Hello, Terry. I wish I could give you a hug.
Just like that, right through the camera. Well, I want to start out by saying this is such a pretty book, which it should be, because it's a book for moms. And Squire, you've written 17 books in your Godwink series. What made you decide to focus on moms in this latest one?
Well, aren't moms the most important people in the family? I mean, actually, our publisher had this notion and said, how would you guys like to do a mom's book? And we thought, gee whiz, do we have enough stories? And within about 5 hours, we had 40 stories in our files and so on and so forth. And then, of course, whenever it happens that we start a Godwink book, God just opens the door and they start happening to flow into us. And so 35 stories in this little book wasn't very hard at all.
Well, you know, Louise, as I was reading this and enjoying each of the stories, I did wonder, where did they get so many different and unique stories of God Winks for moms? How does it differ from other books in this series that you all have done?
Well, you know, we've done books on careers, on pets, on love. And for the book on moms, you know, moms always pour themselves out constantly. They're always pouring themselves out for the children, for the community, for the church. And a lot of times moms wonder, am I being seen? I mean, I feel so isolated sometimes. And these stories tell them that they are so beloved, they're so treasured, that God sees them. They're like little gifts left on your doorstep. You have to open the door and open the gift, and He has a God wink for you. It's a message directly from our Heavenly Father out of 8 billion people on the planet, a personal connection just for you, saying, I'm thinking about you. I'm never going to leave you or forsake you.
Yeah.
You know, Squire, I think as I was reading the book, you think, how can you find so many direct deposits from God to the heart of women like that? But you found them there. You said 35 stories in this book. Do you have a favorite? Can you give us an example of one?
Well, they're like my children. The one sitting on my lap is my favorite. But I particularly love Mary Alexander's story in the chapter, How Grieving Moms Find Hope. Mary Alexander had 2 sons, and she came to the stark realization that this year she was only going to get 1 Mother's Day card. That's because she lost her 39-year-old son, Jason, to an unusual heart condition. She was just devastated by that. Jason was the one who, as a child, always made a big fuss over Mother's Day. He made the fancy cards, handmade, and he would sometimes go to the drugstore and spend an hour looking for the perfect card for his mom. She knew that she had to get this off her mind. She had to dive into drudgery. She thought about it. Oh, that closet downstairs. She's been swearing she was going to get into that for decades. Now she went down. She sees a big old box and she starts pulling things out and throwing them on the floor. Suddenly her hand fell upon an envelope. She picked it up and it was in a child's handwriting to the local newspaper, which went out of business about 20 years ago. She sat down on the floor and that's what she saw. She saw a contest form. My mother is the best mom because. And he talked about how caring she was and how wonderful she was. And Mary looked down to see who signed it. And there was the name, Jason, age 12. She knew at that moment it was an amazing God wink because God, standing at her son's side, was sending her a second Mother's Day card after all.
Such a sweet story. Louise, you, I know, love the story of Yvonne and Vivian. Tell us about that.
Well, Yvonne and Vivian, they created something called the Brookwood Community. It really started because a mom's quest to find a place for her daughter, who was 18, who had special needs. There was no place for special needs adults. So she created this, and it ended up being the most beautiful place, I would say, in the world. And through an amazing God wink, Squire's son, Grant, lives there. So we're very close to the founder and the founder's daughter.
Yeah.
And they teach us all that these beautiful angels with special needs are indeed special.
Oh, yes.
What do you want the takeaway from this book to be? Because it is Mother's Day, and it's a poignant day for some moms, like you mentioned, Squire, who maybe have lost a child. But every mother, I think, feels recognized and a little bit celebrated. What do you want the book to do?
Well, we want this book to honor mothers because Mother's Day is a time to honor mothers. But we also want it to deliver hope. Mm-hmm. These are true stories of other mothers, just like all of us, all of our mothers. And these true stories produced hope at a time when they thought that hope was in short supply. And that's what I hope this book will do.
Yeah. Louise, is there a way for us to be more cognizant of God winks, like put our antenna up and kind of looking for them, be aware?
Oh, yeah. Almost like a radio station, Terry. We have to tune in. The closer we get to that tower, the more and clearer the voice gets. The closer we get to God, the clearer the voice gets. And, you know, his ear is so attentive to every single prayer. And if we just understood that, you know, if you just pour out to God, he will pour into you. And he is the one that creates these beautiful God winks in our lives. You know, people say, oh, that's a coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence, happenstance. God is sovereign. He is in everything 24/7. So he will create this beautiful little divine alignment, this little gift from heaven just for you, saying, I'm thinking about you right now.
On God wink.
I'm going to say that Father's Day is just around the corner. I'm going to keep my eyes open to you two.
Well, I guess we better get busy on that book too.
Exactly. Get to it. Well, I want to say that this pretty book is the perfect Mother's Day gift. It's called God Winks for Moms. It's available nationwide. And Squire and Louise, always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry.